The school cafeteria was alive with laughter, footsteps, and the occasional sound of lockers slamming shut. The smell of pizza and fries hung in the air as students moved from table to table, chatting and gossiping about the latest drama. Jaden Carter strutted through the hallway like he owned the place, his sneakers squeaking against the polished tile floor. He was the king of Jefferson High, and everyone knew it. Flanked by his crew, he scanned the lunchroom like a predator searching for prey. That's when he saw her, the new girl. Maya Brooks sat alone, quietly flipping through the pages of a book. She had just transferred to Jefferson High a week ago, and unlike most new students who scrambled to fit in, she seemed perfectly fine keeping to herself. Jaden smirked. Perfect. With a cocky swagger, he strolled over and snatched the book from her hands. Well, what do we have here? He flipped through the pages as if genuinely interested before tossing it onto the floor. Didn't anyone tell you? You sit where I say. A few chuckles erupted from his friends behind him, but Maya didn't flinch. She simply bent down, picked up her book, and dusted it off. Then she looked up, her emerald green eyes locking onto his with an eerie calmness. I don't take orders, she said. Her voice was quiet but firm. For the first time, Jaden hesitated. Something about her tone, something about her felt different. But he quickly covered it up with a sneer. Oh yeah? You got a death wish, newbie? Before she could answer, the distant roar of an engine cut through the cafeteria noise. A deep, throaty growl, powerful, unmistakable. Heads turned toward the window as a matte black Dodge Charger rumbled into the school parking lot. Maya's lips curled into the slightest smirk. You should probably walk away now, she said, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. Jaden scoffed. Or what? The car door slammed shut. A massive figure stepped out, dressed in a black leather jacket, sunglasses reflecting the afternoon sun. The cafeteria fell dead silent. Because standing there, with a presence so heavy it made the air thick, was Dominic Brooks, Maya's adoptive father. And one look at him was enough to make even Jaden Carter reconsider his choices. The cafeteria was dead silent. Jaden's smirk faltered as he stared through the window. That car, that man. He had seen him before, on TV and movies and viral videos. Dominic Brooks. His stomach twisted. Yo, Jaden, one of his friends muttered. Ain't that? I know who he is, Jaden snapped. But his voice lacked its usual confidence. He turned back to Maya, who was still seated, calmly watching his reaction. That slight smirk of hers was still there, like she had planned this moment all along. Jaden clenched his jaw. He had two choices. Back off now, in front of everyone, or double down. And backing off? That wasn't his style. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You think I care who your dad is? His words were sharp, but there was an underlying edge of uncertainty. This is my school. He ain't got nothing to do with this. Maya tilted her head, as if amused. Oh, she said. You sure about that? Before Jaden could answer, the cafeteria doors swung open with a heavy thud. All eyes turned as Dominic Brooks stepped inside. The man moved with the kind of confidence that didn't need to be loud. He didn't scan the room. He didn't need to. He already knew exactly where Maya was. His boots echoed against the tile floor as he walked, slow and deliberate. Every student, even the teachers near the vending machines, went quiet as he passed. When he reached Maya's table, he placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. You good? He asked, his voice low, steady. Maya nodded. Yeah, I'm good. Dominic turned his head, just slightly, toward Jaden. For a second, Jaden felt his chest tighten. Dominic didn't need to say anything. His presence alone was enough to send a message. I know who you are, and I know what you just did. Jaden forced himself to hold his gaze. He had a reputation to maintain. If he backed down now, he'd never hear the end of it. So he squared his shoulders, shoved his hands into his pockets, and muttered, Whatever. She ain't worth my time. Then he turned and walked off, his crew hesitating before following. But as he left, he could feel Dominic's eyes on his back, watching. And for the first time, Jaden had a sinking feeling. This wasn't over. The next morning, Jaden waited. He knew Maya always took the side entrance before first period. As she walked past the parking lot, he stepped in front of her. You think this is over? Jaden's voice was low, almost a growl. Maya raised an eyebrow. You're still talking? I don't care who your dad is, Jaden sneered. He ain't here right now, is he? Maya crossed her arms. And? Jaden stepped closer, lowering his voice. See, I don't like being made a fool of. And you embarrassed me in front of everyone. Maya didn't flinch. You embarrassed yourself. Jaden's jaw tightened, his fingers curled into a fist. Careful, Maya said, her voice sharp yet quiet. You're about to make a real bad decision. For a second, Jaden hesitated, but then a deafening roar shattered the air. A black Dodge Charger came screeching into the parking lot, its engine rumbling like a wild beast. Jaden instinctively stepped back as the car skidded to a stop. The door swung open. Dominic Brooks stepped out, his eyes locked onto Jaden. No word, just staring. Jaden's heart pounded. Maya smirked. Told you. Jaden forced himself to hold his ground. Dominic walked up, slow and deliberate. He didn't look angry. He didn't even raise his voice, but somehow that made it worse. You like picking fights, huh? Dominic's voice was calm. Jaden swallowed. Dominic nodded toward the football field. Let's talk. Jaden hesitated, then followed. The whole school was watching. When they reached the field, Dominic stopped and turned. You ever been in a real fight? Dominic asked. Jaden clenched his jaw. Yeah. Dominic tilted his head. A real one? Where you weren't the biggest guy in the room? Jaden said nothing. Dominic smirked. See, I know guys like you. Tough when it's easy, loud when there's no risk, but real fights? He stepped closer. You ain't ready for those. Jaden's hands balled into fists, but something in Dominic's tone made him hesitate. Look, Dominic continued, you want to be tough? Fine. But if you mess with my daughter again, his voice dropped lower. You'll learn what a real fight feels like. Jaden swallowed hard. For the first time he understood. This wasn't a threat, it was a promise. The next day, Jaden stood outside the school, watching Maya from a distance. His mind was racing. He had two choices. Push this fight further, prove he wasn't afraid no matter the cost. Walk away, swallow his pride and let this go. Jaden's fists clenched. The humiliation, the anger, it all burned inside him. Then Maya looked up. Their eyes met. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Maya didn't smirk this time. She didn't taunt him. She just looked at him, waiting. Jaden took a slow breath. Then, without a word, he turned and walked the other way. Maya exhaled, a small smirk appearing. Smart move. But Jaden wasn't sure if it felt smart. As he walked away, the weight of his decision settled in. This wasn't just about Maya anymore. It was about who he was going to be. And for the first time, he wasn't sure. The night air was thick with tension. Jaden flexed his fingers inside the gloves, feeling the weight of them. They weren't just for show. This was real. Dominic stood across from him, rolling his shoulders. His stance was relaxed, but his presence was overwhelming. First rule, Dominic said, keep your hands up. Jaden barely had time to react before Dominic threw a jab. Not full force, but enough to sting. Jaden stumbled back, his pride flaring. You serious? He muttered, adjusting his stance. Dominic smirked. You wanted to prove something, right? Then prove it. Jaden gritted his teeth and lunged, a rookie mistake. Dominic sidestepped effortlessly, tapping Jaden's ribs with a quick hook. Not enough to hurt, just enough to let him know. You're too easy to read, Dominic said. Again. Jaden wiped his mouth, frustration boiling over. He rushed in again, this time more controlled. A jab, a cross. He wasn't just throwing punches anymore. Dominic blocked with ease. Better. But you're still thinking too much. Jaden barely saw the counter coming. A quick shot to his gut sent him staggering back, gasping. Dominic stepped forward, his expression unreadable. Fighting isn't just about throwing punches, he said. It's about knowing when to take a hit and when to hit back. Jaden clenched his fists, breathing hard. He wasn't done yet. Not even close. Jaden thought he was ready. The first punch came fast, too fast. Dominic moved like a shadow, barely giving Jaden time to react. A sharp jab connected with his ribs, knocking the air out of his lungs. Jaden staggered back, his vision blurring for a second. This wasn't just a lesson. This was survival. He clenched his teeth, raised his fists again, but before he could strike, a voice cut through the night. Stop! Jaden turned. Maya. She stood at the edge of the parking lot, breathing hard as if she had been running. Dominic lowered his fists, his expression unreadable. Dad, Maya's voice was firm. You made your point. Jaden wiped blood from his lip, glaring at Dominic. What the hell is this? Some kind of test? Dominic studied him for a moment. Then with a slow nod, he spoke. You're not a fighter yet, kid. His voice was calm. But at least now, you know what it means to stand your ground. Jaden exhaled sharply. His body ached, but his mind was clear. For the first time in his life, he understood something. Fighting isn't about winning. It's about knowing when to fight and when to walk away. Maya stepped forward, looking between the two. You done? She asked Dominic. Dominic smirked, tossing Jaden a bottle of water. Yeah, he's done. Jaden caught the bottle, confused. So what now? Dominic turned back to his car, pausing only to say, Now? You decide who you really are. Then he got in, started the engine, and drove off into the night. Jaden stood there, breathing hard. Maya crossed her arms. So? You still want to prove something? Jaden looked at her, then at the gloves still on his hands. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he took them off. He tossed them onto the ground and let out a small chuckle. Nah, he said. I think I'm good. Maya smirked. Smart move. And for the first time in a long time, Jaden felt free. Jaden sat on the rooftop of the school, overlooking the parking lot where everything had gone down. His ribs still ached, and the bruises on his knuckles reminded him of how close he had come to losing himself. He had won, if walking away could be called a victory, but it had cost him. His pride, his illusions about strength, and maybe the person he thought he was. Yet, as the night air brushed against his skin, he felt something else too. Relief. Maya found him there, leaning against the railing. Deep in thought? She asked. Jaden exhaled. Yeah, just thinking about everything. Maya sat next to him, silent for a moment.